I think when you have Lindy Li on a panel with Benny Johnson and Jillian Michaels, it's going to be more of like a masturbatory partisan fest. And I really liked your question aimed at Benny. I think that was a good one. And you weren't trying to say that Trump has cognitive decline. You were asking if he would stay ideologically consistent when the admin is lying.
Right.
I guess the question to Benny is, do you think the 2020 election was stolen, or did Trump lie about that? Like, would you lead the charge and say that he lied about that?
It was absolutely rigged and stolen, yeah.
I actually agree too.
I don't want to whataboutism.
The Hunter Biden laptop story.
In today's video, Adam Mockler absolutely destroys Piers Morgan and his MAGA panel for their delusional takes on the Democratic Party. You've got Piers Morgan and Benny Johnson basically sounding the MAGA alarm bells over every Biden stutter like it's a national emergency, while Adam Mockler comes in with the actual substance and facts instead of just playing into viral clips and fear-mongering. Mockler pushes back hard, asking real questions about policy, alternatives, and the hypocrisy of folks cheering on Trump, who's only a few years younger and also says wild things on a daily basis. So let's dive in and watch how Adam Mockler shuts down Piers Morgan and his MAGA panel in this heated debate.
Well, I tell you what. I don't want to. I don't want to get into relitigating either the stolen election, which I don't think was stolen, or the Hunter Biden laptop story, which
but
was.
Benny Johnson would not.
Just to be clear, Donald Trump, as I said to Trump to his face in our last interview, had you told the world that the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story had cost you the election, I would agree with you and I would support you. I think they reckon it could have swung it by 10%, right? Because it was so damning, the stuff on that laptop, and it was suppressed by big tech at the behest of a Democrat party. So on that, I'm with Trump 100%. On the stolen election, I'm not. Let's not go over those again, Adam. The central argument is this, is that throughout for almost all of the Biden presidency, there was a massive con going on with the American people, that there was a cover-up perpetrated right from the top by him, by his wife, by his family, by his White House staff, by leading Democrats, by donors who must have known, by celebrities who knew, by former presidents who must have known. The whole load of them were in this together to stop the American people from knowing that Joe Biden was in serious cognitive decline, which he was, and which, by the way, as I said to Jake and Alex, British journalists like me, who were not even in America at the time for half of these columns, I was writing them for the New York Post, were writing this on an almost monthly basis. I was calling for him to have a 25th Amendment move, right? This was 2 years before the election. And I'm not even American. He's not even my president. I could see what was happening. I just want you to be honest, Adam. You knew, when you saw, as Benny said, when you saw him falling over all the time, stumbling, all the gaffes, everything else, in your heart, you knew, didn't you, that he wasn't up to the job?
I didn't, no. I knew that he was getting older, but I still think he was up to the job, and you can demonstrate that in the actual work that he did. But just to back up, I will not sit here and deny that Biden is old. What's funny? What's funny?
No. Well, he's only a little bit older than Donald Trump.
Like you're part of the, it's like.
No. Like I will not sit here and deny that Biden is old. I will not sit here and deny that Biden is old. But the framing that you guys are using is way beyond that. Being old isn't the problem. Being
senile is the problem.
He was not senile. He was not senile at all. Here's the thing.
You don't think he's senile? You don't think calling on a dead congressman is alarming?
I mean, we can go through all of the insane things Trump has said. I mean, Trump gave a speech at West Point where he didn't say a coherent thought the entire. I'm not going to whataboutism. Listen, just to back up, I don't want to whataboutism. I'm not going to defend Biden. He is cognitively declining, absolutely, and he was while in office. But Pierce's framing takes it way farther. You basically just said there was a top-down conspiracy, including celebrities, including every politician in the Democratic Party, every journalist, not
Adam,
every journalist.
Literally, there was, though.
Okay,
Having been part of the machinery, I can tell you there was.
Jake just said that.
Jake Tapper,
Jake's book.
Now, Piers came out swinging with this whole grand conspiracy idea that everyone from Jill Biden to Hollywood celebrities were in on a cover-up about Biden's health. Like, come on. At some point, we have to separate opinion from reality. Adam didn't sugarcoat anything. He acknowledged Biden is old, because yeah, he is. But he pushed back on the idea that age alone means he can't do the job. And here's the thing. Under Biden, the US has seen record job growth, historic infrastructure investments, and major action on climate change. None of that screams incompetence. Plus, if we're really being honest about mental clarity, Trump's been out here mixing up countries, slurring through speeches, and suggesting we nuke hurricanes. So let's be consistent. Adam also made a solid point. If we're going to judge performance, judge the results, not the viral clips. And pretending that every public stumble is evidence of a nationwide political cover-up is just feeding the outrage machine, not informing anyone. So yeah, I'm with Adam on this one. The truth isn't flashy, but it actually holds up.
Let me read you a quote. Let me read you a quote. Hang on. Don't all talk over each other. But Adam, before I let you go, let me read you this quote. On the decision to run against Trump, a quote on page 85 of the book quotes a longtime Biden aide, who said he just had to win and then he could disappear for 4 years. He'd only have to show proof of life every once in a while. That is a Biden aide, long time, about why, this is before the election, he gave this quote to Alex Thompson. I mean, that is shocking. It's damnable, frankly.
That is shocking. That should not have happened. And that is a different claim than what you just made regarding a top-down effort. I thought you were about to give me some evidence of like every celebrity out there knowing this and then trying to cover
Here's the
it up.
evidence, Adam. Here's the evidence. Yeah. You were all watching what I was watching. You were all watching exactly the same thing I was watching. The list that Benny just gave.
A senile Biden, like even beyond Biden's policy and him keeping a steady hand on the economy, him keeping a steady hand with Russia and Ukraine while Trump is getting rolled right now. I don't want to whataboutism. I want to be good. I don't want to whataboutism and talk about Trump. When it comes to Biden, you can look at his policy.
You mean allowing Vladimir Putin to invade Ukraine? You mean allowing 10 million people to come over the southern border illegally? I mean, I could rattle off a list that suggests he wasn't entirely on top of his game.
What Adam does well here is refocus the conversation on Biden's actual record, stabilizing a post-COVID economy, handling the Ukraine crisis with a united NATO response, passing major infrastructure and climate legislation, while Trump, the guy many of these critics prefer, is getting rolled in court and ran a chaotic administration. And this whole he's senile narrative falls apart when you remember that Biden still beat Trump while running a cautious campaign during a pandemic and has passed more legislations than many of his predecessors. The work is getting done. If you're going to say Biden isn't on top of his game, you better reconcile that with the reality that by almost every serious economic and legislative metric, his administration has been surprisingly effective. So yeah, Adam Mockler didn't just push back, he reminded people that leadership isn't about sound bites, it's about results.
That's not the point of networks like CNN and others who purport, BBC will be another one, who purport to be non-partisan. You just can't be seen to be taking sides. You've got to give everybody the same rigorous treatment. And you do it on behalf of the American people, don't you?
I agree. I guess I have a question that I want to pose to anyone here. I guess I'll ask it to Lindy. First of all, I want to say, just to back up, I'm pretty sure the New York Times posted a record number of articles about Biden's age throughout 2024. But also, if Jake Tapper 100% knew that Biden was senile, I'll grant that, I'll just concede that for a second. If he knew that, why did he gladly host a debate that exposed and perhaps was a catalyst to Biden's downfall?
I think that Jake Tapper probably knew, but probably not to the extent that we eventually
found out.
Okay, so
wouldn't it not be covering it up if Jake Tapper knew, but then he held the debate which exposed it?
All of us were shocked. I was actually at the debate. I knew that Biden was deteriorating. I didn't know that he was deteriorating to that extent. It came as a shock to me as well. And that was the night, actually, he said, tell your husband I said hi. I'm not married, by the way. So it just, Jake Tapper, it makes me sick, though. He decided to write a book the day before the election.
Betty, do you want to answer my question if Lindy won't?
I just did.
I'll answer it.
Jake Tapper, lambasted.
You know what? I
Trump.
really don't. I just don't think, with all the will in the world, Jake Tapper is not the real villain here. Yeah, I'm quite happy if you guys. I'm sure he won't care if you keep whacking him. But the bottom line is the actual villain is the occupant of the White House and the people around him. And I mean, there's one line in the book, which I think we should just end with. 5 people were running the country, and Joe Biden was at best a senior member of the board. This is about the President of the United States. It's shocking. So the real blame game, yes, the media dropped the ball. To quote Benny at the end, they dropped the ball, dear fellow. They did. And that is, something they have to accept, and they're beginning to, and there'll be more accountability, I hope, on that. It can't happen again. But the real lie was perpetrated right from the top.
Real quick to Adam, since he's picking on Lindy here. Adam, if Joe Biden was on the ballot in 2024, would you have voted for him?
Over Trump, yes.
Just by knowing that this guy.
And by the way, I don't want to hear you virtue signaling about military members in Afghanistan. When Trump today posted Happy Memorial Day to all, including the scum that spent the last 4 years. Don't virtue signal about Afghanistan.
Adam, would you have Adam, would you have voted for Kanye West if it was him against Trump on the ballot?
No, Kanye West? No.
Oh, so you've got standards.
Yeah. I mean, maybe somebody who kept a steady hand earlier. Sorry, one more thing. Earlier, Piers, you said Biden allowed the invasion of Ukraine to happen. He froze Vladimir Putin out of the global order for years, while Donald Trump is ceding land and leverage and territory.
Well, when I say allowed, I mean it happened on his watch. Well, it happened on Biden's watch.
Putin has invaded multiple countries. He invaded Georgia. Then he invaded the Crimea in 2014.
He didn't invade any countries on Trump's watch.
And Adam, under which party's presidents did he invade Georgia and Ukraine? Under which party? Republican or Democrat?
I don't think Vladimir Putin solely makes his decisions based off of who's the current president.
I think it's a huge determination.
Listen, let's not get into the history of warfare.
Who was the president just called out?
I'm afraid we've run out of time, guys.
First off, the accusation that Biden's presidency was run by a secret cable while he served as a senior board member is just another recycled right-wing conspiracy theory. Adam pushes back by asking a pretty straightforward question. If the media really knew Biden was totally unfit, why did CNN, Jake Tapper specifically host the very debate that supposedly exposed Biden? That's not a cover-up, that's transparency. Tapper's book or not, the point remains. The media aired the debate. Biden struggled and the world saw it. The narrative that this was hidden is just false. Then you've got Benny tossing out rhetorical gotchas like, would you vote for Biden again? And Adam stands firm. Yes, because despite Biden's age, he's actually passed major legislation. Infrastructure, climate investments, lowering drug prices. Meanwhile, Trump, he posts bizarre rants on Truth Social, undermines military families, and cozies up to authoritarian leaders. Age alone doesn't determine leadership. Competence, stability, and policy wins matter, and Biden, even in decline, has delivered more for working people than Trump ever did. Adam Mockler didn't just hold his own in this debate. He reminded everyone that while the right plays the Biden is old loop, real issues are being addressed by his administration, and that still matters more than a meme.